Alright, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to Puck Rock Rangers. I am Stefan. This is Palmer. We are co hosts to each other for the greatest Rangers show in the entire world. And we have missed you, and we got a good bit to talk about, so let's get into it. All right. So we're in the dead of the off season for the Rangers. However, there's a lot going on in the hockey world, big picture, and we just kind of want to weigh in on some thoughts, hot takes, opinions, what we think's going to happen, what we liked that has happened, what we didn't like that has happened, and we're just going to give you two average Joes in Central Virginia's opinions about the Stanley Cup playoffs and things going on around the league and things to come in the league. So I'm kind of riding passenger this episode. Palmer has some notes written down. He has kind of an itinerary for what we want to speak about. I'll weigh in with my thoughts and opinions and all that good jazz. But what do you want to start with, man?
Right off the rip, we'll get into intros like usual. The thousands and or millions of fans listening worldwide.
Billions.
They always do want to know what's going on, so I'll let you get started. What's been going on? It's been a couple weeks since you and I did one of these episodes.
Yeah, not a whole lot. Just working a lot and doing the family life thing. And a funny story, I actually, I have a tattoo shop that I run, and every year I do an annual giveaway for a free tattoo for a certain amount of hours. And yesterday morning was the appointment for the person who had won the raffle. And she gets there and she starts looking in the snake tank, and she's like, what do you got in here? And I'm like, oh, it's a red-tailed boa. If you peek in the little rock right there, you'll probably see her. And she looks down and she's like, no, I don't see her. I'm like, oh, no, she's in there. So I'm like, you want to see? I open the cage. I lift the rock, nothing there. I'm like, maybe she's buried. So I take the little thing, I start poking around, nothing there. And it's not a small snake. She's easily about, that fat around, probably about 5 foot long or so. And I'm like, oh, this isn't good. This isn't good. She should be in there right now, and she's not. So I don't know what I started. You know how when someone's sitting on the remote and you're like, get up. Like they say, I'm not sitting on it. Get up. Well, I'm like, somebody stole my snake. Like that was like what my mindset was like. I can't believe someone stole my snake. But let me look around anyway. And after about 10 minutes of searching, I finally found her. She was tucked up behind a cabinet somewhere, but. Yeah, she got out, and that was the most exciting thing that's happened to me in the last couple weeks. And yeah, it was Steve Irwin 2.0. She's gonna bite me. She's gonna bite. She was not happy when I found her and tried to get her back in. She was striking at me a little bit, and she was not happy that I found her. So yeah, that happened. Then just just work and family, and not a whole lot going on. What about you, man?
Hey, snakes get out. It makes me think of Edward, my old snake. He got out, and I want to say Raynell found him behind the couch.
A story for later. Shit. Actually, Edward bailed me out one time. I remember somebody came to the house to do a checkup, and when she found out, I was like, oh, the snake's loose. She's like, I'm not coming in there. And it kind of bailed me out a little bit because I was on some shenanigans back then. But yeah, good old Edward.
Stefan has a history of letting reptiles out. His iguana got out when we were teenagers and was never found. So
yeah, poor Kush.
What have I been up to? I'll get this out of the way. So I haven't talked about it much, but a family member at home, one of our dogs, a 12-year-old boy, has cancer, has recently been paralyzed. So life lately for me has been a lot of just kind of keeping him comfortable. A lot of vet visits, but he's doing well, and we won't harp on that. But yeah, just like I said last episode, I think I alluded to, hug your pets, hug your people, keep them close.
Send some good juju for Jobin.
Yeah, send some my way. I'll certainly accept it.
Yep.
But on the positive, coded, still practicing, still working on the demo. We're gonna loosely calling it the awful demo. Not sure if that'll be the final name, but that's what we're kicking around the office. And other than that, let's see. Watching a lot of NHL playoffs. It's been nice watching without the Rangers, although I'd rather them be in. But they would have got slaughtered this year. They were so bad. We won't spend too much time on that. And watching Alone Australia. New season of Alone has come out, so I'm getting stoked on that.
The Australia edition?
Yeah, they're in
that's
Australia.
cool because they got
Hulu right now.
They have the top 10 most deadliest snakes in the world, all concentrated in that one country island. So
they're on the western coast of Tasmania. So,
and I'm sure it's super hot because I think the ozone has some issues above Australia. So it's probably super. They're probably baking in an oven out there.
Not yet. I'm only a couple episodes in. I'm sure it'll get hot, but it's been cold and rainy actually the first couple episodes. And then aside from that, just right off the top, wanted to almost apologize, but we did the interview and set with Heavy as the Head. Both videos are available on our Instagram, on their Instagram, so you can check those out. We're working behind the scenes to try to get the full videos up on our page, so those will be together soon. And I promise the interview will still be relevant because I asked timeless questions.
All right.
So let's get into it. The NHL playoffs are in full swing. So actually right now, it's Monday, the 2nd of June, and we are waiting 2 more days. The Stanley Cup Finals has been decided. It's a rematch of last year, Florida versus Edmonton. That starts Wednesday night in Alberta. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to get to our picks at the end of the episode, so stick around for that. We talked a little bit off air. How much? It sounds like I've been watching more playoffs than you. What have you watched? What stood out? And then I'll get into what I think.
Well, the reason I haven't been able to watch as much as I would have liked to be able to watch is because most of the games are cable. They're all on TNT, and our father has kicked everyone off of his direct stream. So I haven't been able to watch the games as much. I mean, I might pull it up on my phone on some streaming app or something, but I haven't been able to consistently watch like I've liked. But yeah, what I have seen has been pretty good. There's been a lot of upsets for me in this playoff series, and like every team that I would have wanted to see go and do really good was pretty much eliminated in the first round. And then every team that I've wanted to do good after that has pretty much also been eliminated since. I really didn't want to see a repeat of last year's Stanley Cup, but I guess it will be exciting to see how it goes. Did you have, before it even started, out of the teams that were in it, did you have a favorite to go all the way?
So I wouldn't call it a favorite, but what I filled out a bracket. I know you did not fill out a bracket, and my bracket was busted badly in the first round. I had I had Tampa Bay and the Avalanche playing in the finals. So both teams were smoked in the first round.
Yeah.
And as was my bracket. I also had LA beating Edmonton in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
So my bracket was tough. Other than that, I kind of went with the obvious picks, but those were definitely my upsets. As far as a favorite to win it, at different points I rode with different teams. I liked Montreal as a wild card, but I didn't have expectations of them going very far. So it's honestly it's been nice watching as a neutral observer. You kind of start rooting for teams, you start rooting for players or situations, and it's been nice just kind of being a casual observer.
Okay, yeah, I really wanted to see. I wanted to see Minnesota do really good. I wanted to see them make it pretty far. They didn't. And I also wanted to see Ottawa because I'm a big Brady Tkachuk fan. So I would have loved to see Ottawa. I would have loved to see Brady pull his team through to a deep run. But neither of those things happened. They both got eliminated, and I really didn't have any. I really didn't have any stake after that. But after they were eliminated in round 2, I would have liked to see Carolina maybe pull the upset on Florida, and that didn't happen either. So I mean, really nothing's went right for what I've wanted to happen, but I'm not, I don't have too much skin in the game, so I'm not like super upset about it. But so that's where we're at with that.
Both series in the conference finals were kind of lackluster. You really saw a disparity between Edmonton and Dallas. I mean, Dallas frankly could not score, And I know, Edmonton's a team that, their defense and their goaltending is kind of up and down. It depends on which Stuart Skinner shows up, and sometimes it depends on which Darnell Nursing crew shows up.
Yeah.
But they tightened up, and the scoring dried up from guys like Mikko and Robertson and Heiskanen. So that was kind of a, boring unless you're a Edmonton fan, I would say. And then on the flip, I know Carolina made a valiant effort in Game 4 to force Game 5 to avoid the sweep. That game and Game 5 was close till it wasn't, but that series was not close.
And
it made me feel a little bit. Maybe this is a sad concession. It made me feel a little better watching the Rangers up against the Panthers last year. The Panthers were the better team, no bones about it. But that was a close series.
Yeah.
A lot of one-goal games, a lot of overtime, a lot of pucks bounced different way, and it would have been a different story. Carolina got dog-walked.
Well, the crazy thing about it is in round 2 when it was Carolina and the Capitals got dog-walked. Like, if the eye test just showed that, like, Carolina was heavy on the forecheck. They didn't allow barely anything at all from the Capitals, and the puck support was insane. So watching that series and watching how the Capitals, who were supposed to be a better team, just get kind of annihilated, like, my thoughts going into it was that we're going to have a Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals. So seeing Carolina look so good against the Capitals and then seeing them look so bad against the Panthers, it was just like there's a huge disparity. Like there's just a level of, like, a drop off. You got the teams up here, and then it's just way down here with all the rest of the teams. And it just happened exactly how it was supposed to with the teams playing.
Yeah, the conference finals really did work out the way it was supposed to, and Florida is the gold standard right now.
Yeah,
everyone, if not last offseason, definitely this offseason is going to be looking at Florida and saying, we got to get to that point. We got to be built like them. Look, Florida played with their food. They did lose Game 4, and Florida has had a hard time closing teams out like that in Games 4 and 5. I don't know if they take their foot off the gas. Look, it's hard to eliminate a team. But Carolina, and another thing about Carolina I wanted to say is, yes, Carolina looked good against the Devils and against Washington, but I think that made Carolina a bit of a paper tiger, because when they ran into a good team, they really showed their colors. And the Panthers, they're bullies, man. They take your game and they shove it down your throat.
And they can play any style. Like, if you want to play
run and gun,
a high octane,
yep,
let's just put it in the net as much as humanly possible, they'll stick with it and stay with you the whole way. And if you want to play that boring style, they'll do that too. So
the way they won games is especially against Carolina, is they hung in there with Carolina when they wanted to play low and slow and boring. And then once things broke, they broke right open. I mean, how many times were there second goal or second period clusters of goals?
Yeah.
Or Carolina would score and boom, boom. Florida was right back on it. So
how you like the Marchand addition? Like, does he fit right in perfectly with them?
He fits right in, man. I mean, he fits right in like a glove.
And then the Rats.
Oh, they're shooting
the Rats afterwards. Oh,
hey,
my God.
They're having fun, man.
Yeah.
They're having fun all year. I watched the Florida Panthers had a lot of fun. Capitals had a lot of fun this year. Rangers, zero fun.
Oh, miserable.
And we had to sit there and watch it all year. So hopefully we get some fun back. But I think that's it for the playoffs. I know you didn't watch a ton, so we're not going to beat a dead horse.
You want to discuss Dallas a little bit and the Dallas-Edmonton thing?
What's there to discuss?
I mean, we just discussed in full depth the Carolina and Florida.
I'll be honest, Dallas series was boring as shit, and aside from late game heroics in Game 1, it would have been a sweep. So there's not much to talk about. The Stars wilted. Honestly, the Stars on the Stars wilted, and it reminded me a lot of watching the Rangers. For one reason or another, the offense dried up, and they just couldn't hang with a superior Edmonton team.
Yeah, watching the Stars reminded me of watching the Rangers. It's like the top guns just did not show up. And that's what really decided the series. They had a lot of depth, but you can't rely on only depth. I mean, you look at Edmonton, and who's the two top point scorers for that team throughout the playoffs. It's their top dogs. You got Draisaitl, you got McDavid.
Well, then,
McDavid's number one. Draisaitl's right behind him. I think it's like McDavid got 17 points throughout the playoffs so far, and Draisaitl has like 16 or something.
Well, you know, Edmonton does not get enough credit for being scumbags. But you look at that roster. You know, Corey Perry, Trent Frederick.
Yeah, that was a good addition.
You know, even Draisaitl's a prick. I mean,
Yeah.
He's a great player, but he is a prick. Make no mistakes about it.
One of the hard to play against.
Against, prickly, just asshole player that wins. Frankly, you know, they're a good team, and they've kind of done what Florida has, where they've picked up guys that have had a little bit of success other places. You know, they've picked up guys that maybe had a rap sheet. You know, Corey Perry was almost blackballed from the league for whatever went down with Bedard's mom, allegedly.
Bedard's mom has got it going on.
I'm sure she does. But where was I going with this? Edmonton has picked up some real dogs. I mean, Corey Perry is making me think of 2010 Ducks. I mean, or 2007 Ducks. I mean, he's bringing it back to my high school days.
But you got to remember the curse of the Perry curse. He's been in the Stanley Cup playoffs the last 5 years in a row.
Yeah, that's been unfortunate. But he's won one. I mean, he's won one back in the day with the Ducks. So
yeah,
I'm sure he wants that second one. And he's a rat. I mean, he's gonna hang out in front of that net and be a prick.
He'll be a great. It'll be great to see him and Marchand go at each other because they're both kind of like greasy, in your face type players. So I'll enjoy that.
You know, it's funny. Then this is probably the last thing I'll
Bennett,
say. This is the last thing I'll say about the Edmonton Stars series. But what surprised me is, you know, Edmonton or neither team, you know, and I guess this is going against the point I made a second ago. The Oilers have plenty of pricks on their team, but don't get enough credit for it. And I think the Stars get too much credit for being kind of a prickly team. I mean, short of Jamie Benn and that kid Marchment, I didn't see a lot of people starting shit.
No.
You know, that one Bouchard slashed Heaskaming's foot or whoever it was.
Took him out the game.
Knowing the guy's hurt. And I mean, not a thing for it. So, and
greasy.
And actually, I'm glad you made us talk about this series because pulling Otter
yeah.
in an elimination game in the first period, I mean, that is an absolute war crime.
That's crazy, yeah.
I mean, that's against the Geneva Convention. I mean,
yeah,
that is...
Pete what is it, Dubois?
Pete dumbass.
Do me.
Do more, do less.
Pete do less.
But yeah, that was bad.
Wild.
That was bad. That was not a good look. Have fun with that in the off season.
So you wanna do some predictions? Who you want to give your prediction on what's going to happen in with the Edmonton and Florida series, and then we'll get on to some Ranger stuff, free agency, all that stuff.
I want to do it opposite. I want to make everyone wait till the end for our pick.
Okay, I can deal with that.
So stay tuned. All right, let's move on. I have some notes here on draft and free agency. Look, we're a fan show. We want to react to the games and what goes on, but we do have to talk a little bit about the offseason. And the draft is coming up. Free agency is right behind it. So the draft starts in about 3 weeks. On the 27th is day 1. Then day 2, or rounds 2 through 7 or 8, is on the following day, the 28th. This year, the Rangers have the 12th pick, and we owe Pittsburgh.
We should have the 30th pick. Well, we don't. Well, unfortunately, we don't have the 30th pick.
So my question to you, and this is a big question in Rangers Nation right now, a lot of people are debating. We owe Pittsburgh a pick. We can give them this year's pick or next year's pick. What do you, if you're Chris Drowsy, what are you doing?
I don't really know. I don't really keep up with the upcoming prospects as that much.
Well, here, I'll give you a little background.
But hold on. From what I've heard from everyone's cousin, mother, sister, brother, and father, everyone's saying that next year's draft class is supposed to be far superior to this year's draft class. And if you're not getting the first, second, third, or fourth pick this year, then you're really going to get like a second round pick as a first. So that's what I've heard from everybody.
Yes.
So knowing that, the smart thing for me, if I was Chris Droopy, is I would wait. I'd give Pittsburgh this year, mess up their rebuild a little bit, and try to play it smart, and get a better pick next year.
I'm laughing at Chris Droopy. Oh boy. I like that. I kind of lean that way too. I think you got to think the Rangers. Well, here's the caveat. It's a 12th pick in a not deep draft going to Pittsburgh versus what you would think is going to be a 20th or higher pick next year, because the Rangers are hopefully going to do better and make the playoffs and be a good team again.
Yeah.
In a deeper draft. So it really is kind of a catch-22. It's a tough one, man. I think you gamble on the Rangers being better next year, and you give Pittsburgh next year's pick.
Next year's pick.
And you take a chance on a kid in the first round, a 12th pick overall, and see what you got moving forward.
Yeah, I can see that.
Another thing about it is it gives you another year with the prospect to develop or whatever you're going to do with them.
Yeah.
It doesn't, you're not kicking the can down the road. And another thing to think about, consider is, yes, we'd be losing that pick for next year, but the free agency class is better. The draft class is looking better. Panarin's off the books. Kreider, whether he's gone or not, his deal will be gone. So you got a lot of things that the Rangers could do next season. And I'm thinking, I alluded to this last episode, that I don't think there's going to be as many changes this offseason as people expect. And I think the reason being is they want to see what Mike Sullivan can do with some of these schlubs. And they also, I had my point here so I wouldn't lose it. Let's see. Sorry, this is bad podcasting here. Give me 1 second. A new coach bump, seeing if Mike Sullivan can get more out of these guys. And you also have really hard contracts to move.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to run Mika out of town, including me. That contract is hard.
Yeah.
And other teams aren't that dumb. They're not going to take that contract on. I could even foresee, I know everyone's already talking about Kreider in past tense. I could see a world where Kreider's back, so I'm not convinced there's going to be as many changes as everyone thinks.
I honestly would not be that upset if Kreider was back. I mean, I know he had a pretty terrible season, but at the same time, I mean, I still have faith that he's capable of being that guy. I mean, after, with the walkaway interviews, when he was going off a list of one thing after another, injury after injury, I could see a world where he has a chip on his shoulder next season and comes back and actually does produce and play like the Kreider that we all know and love. So I really wouldn't be that upset. Maybe it's like a trial thing. Maybe they'll bring him back and then see how he does for the first month or 2 months, something like that. And then if it's not there, it's not there, and they'll have somebody to try to dump off on another team at the deadline. But I'd like to give him another chance. I'm a forgiving person.
Okay. And and this conversation transitions nicely into what I wanted to get into next. So we'll wrap up our draft and free agency convo here. And part of the reason we're doing that is a couple weeks, we're going to get together again in 3 weeks and do an episode right before the draft.
Okay.
So hopefully some things have changed and we'll have a little more to talk about.
This is news to me.
That's the plan. That's the plan. Breaking live news right here, right now. All right, so we were just kind of talking about Kreider and Drury, and this transitions nicely into the next section or thing I wanted to talk about, and it brings to mind the band The Clash. Should I stay or should I go? I'm going to rattle off a couple names, and I just want to stay or go and maybe a short take on why from you, and I'll give you my take also. So we'll start off with the Clydesdale. Chris Kreider, should I stay or should I go?
Stay. I just kind of elaborated why.
I agree. I think stay. I also can see the reason for going. The dollars and cents is probably my only reason. I would also be interested to see, after a long off season, rehab and training, to what he can do, and hopefully we can get our franchise legend back, and see. But that said, after the way things went last year, I'll probably spend one day moping around and then I'll be fine with it if they end up shipping him. So it's a soft stay. Keandre Miller, who reports are is being shopped.
Go.
I would go also. I've seen enough, and if he comes back to haunt us, so be it. But I would send him to a dumb GM who is going to give us a boatload for him.
Yeah, there's too many mistakes, too many mess ups, and too many avoidable goals.
And honestly,
just the eye test. I mean, you could look at the statistics. He might look better on paper than he does on the ice, but if you're not looking good on the ice as well, then who cares what the paper says? Seriously.
Yeah. Well, and the eye test tells you differently than what the potential or the ceiling everyone always talks about with Keandre Miller. It's been 5 or 6 seasons. I mean, this is going to be his 7th season as a pro. I'd have to look that up. I've seen enough. I'd ship him for a package.
I mean, let me go on a little rant for Keandre Miller real quick. I think Keandre Miller is soft. I just think he's a softie. He's big for nothing. And I mean, I know that what you do off the ice shouldn't matter with on the ice stuff, but like everything I see that he posts is like something to do with he's like a hopeless romantic or something. I feel like my opinion is that Keandre Miller like gets into an argument with his girlfriend and then can't play good as a result or something. Like I don't know what it is, but I just feel like he's a little whiny. Like
he's a Drake, not a Kendrick.
Yes.
And we need Kendricks on this team.
Yes.
I thought of that. I was thinking about Keandre Miller the other day, and I thought the same exact thing. He is a Drake.
Yeah, he's
and
like
we need some Kendricks.
Wishy-washy little wimp.
I'll elaborate on what you're saying too, and this might be going beyond just I know they're athletes and you should keep it on the ice. I agree with what Stefan's saying. I think he's shown enough with his personality, the things he says and does, the way he conducts himself on and off the ice. I think the guy's a wimp. I want him out of here.
Big time wimp. Yep, big for nothing. He might have a little bit of physicality, but he don't even use it. If there's one little thing bugging him off the ice, say goodbye to any type of good game from him.
Yeah, Mika made me cringe all season, but Mika, at least you can look back at past things and be like, hey, this was a down season, or he's been trending downwards. But Mika had, before this shitty season, the story on Mika was it was a home run deal because we traded an aging Derek Brassard for him. And then Mika comes out of nowhere and becomes our number one center. Now, whether he really was a true blue number one center, we're finding out was not.
Well, now we have Miller as our number one center. And I would love Mika Zibanejad if he was a 3C. Like, as a 3C, I'd love him. But as a 1C, it's just he's trended too far down. Like, I get reaching that point and starting to trend a little bit. But he's just falling off a cliff.
No, JT Miller came over. It's like that that pirate meme. I'm the captain now.
I am the captain now.
That's exactly what's going on there. And
Sully.
Yeah. So, all right, last person on should I stay or should I go? Panarin. 1 year left. This is the last year of his deal.
Stay.
11 and change coming off the books.
Absolutely stay.
Now, do you trade him or do you let him walk at the end of the year for nothing?
Depends on how the season's going. If the boys look promising, if Sully's got them on all gears firing or whatever, I'd say keep him, see it out. If Sully can't kick the boys into shape, then I'd say get what you can for him. But you got to think, Panarin came off a record season and then has, is the top point producer for our entire team the following season when everybody else seemed to be unable to contribute. Panarin was still contributing. Every time Panarin was on the ice, I still had hope that Panarin can score a goal. He can get us back in it. When it was the other three lines out there, I really didn't have much hope for anything. So yeah. I'd say keep Panarin. He's just that guy when he's out there. Like, that anything can happen when he's out there. Even if he has a bad period, like he might come out the next period and completely do the whoop-de-doop on somebody and put it in the back of the net. So I say keep Panarin.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, it's one more year on the deal. I don't think you re-sign him. I think you let him walk or you trade him, depending on how things go, like you said. If things aren't going well at the trade deadline, Panarin, gone. Kreider, gone. a lot of guys gone, and you go a different direction.
What about Lafreniere? You want to do one for him real quick?
I want to get to Lafreniere in a second. Or do you want to include him? You want to do stay or go?
I want to do the stay or go.
Should I stay or should I go? Lafreniere.
This is tough.
Salad
boy.
Old salad shooter.
This is tough. Oh my goodness. Like, did he have just a really down, terrible year?
Now,
was there something going on, or was it that was he just unable to produce because nobody was able to produce? I don't know. So stay or go. This is probably the toughest one for me to decide on, but I like Alexis Lafreniere. I've kind of come to terms with the fact that he's not that top tier caliber first overall type player, but for a second or third line player, I'd like to see him stay. I guess I like Lafreniere. I think that if everybody else on the team could come out of the funk, I think it'll pull him right up out of it with him. That's where I'm at.
I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to say go. He's another one that I think if you can get a good package of known commodities, or even a 1-for-1 where it's like, hey, this guy needs a fresh start, but he's shown flashes. I don't know, man. I'm inclined to shake things up from what I saw this last couple of years. And back to my Drake Kendrick thing, Lafreniere's been hot and cold. He, in 23, 24, he was very much a Kendrick. Last season he was a Drake.
Yeah.
So we'll see where he can.
What makes this game so messed up is that everybody just had such a terrible season that if we're gonna get rid of any of these guys, we basically have to give them away for pennies. Like it's not like any of these players like, well, he stood out way higher than anyone else, so we could still get a good little package for him. It's like you come off a season of Duke like we just had. Other teams are gonna be like, why would we gamble on that? Why would we give a known commodity for this crap, for this bundle of crap that did nothing last year? So that's what makes this game messed up, is we have to decide after a season like we just had. That makes it tough.
It's tough. It is tough. So let's stay on some of these guys. I had a note here. Ken Sullivan removed the heads from the asses of guys like Mika Zibanejad.
Oh man, I hope so. I sure hope so.
Also on this list is Lafreniere. Can his head be removed from his ass?
I hope so. I'm not that. I know that Sullivan won the 2 cups with Pittsburgh, and that's good and great and all. But they also had Sidney Crosby leading the team.
Yeah, we don't have a Crosby. We don't have a Malkin. We have a Letang. But, we don't have that core. All right. What about the head being removed of the ass of Keandre Miller? I think that head is so far up his ass that you'll never get it out.
Well, I hope another team has to pull it out.
Yeah. All right. What about Kreider? Can his head be removed from his own ass?
I think so.
I think so, too.
I think his head can be removed from his rectal cavity.
Okay. All right. So moving along, Rangers are captainless. Do you think they name a captain this year, or do you think it is or I guess my question is, do you think they name it this year? Do you think it's a current Ranger, or do you think it's a non-Ranger that we will acquire in the future?
I think they need to appoint a captain.
See,
absolutely need to appoint a captain.
I think the opposite.
If you don't have leadership, like clear-cut leadership, I mean, it's anarchy. It's anarchy in the locker room, and some people love anarchy. Don't get me wrong; I'm sure it could be super cool somewhere. But
shout out to the punks, punks and skins.
In a Puck Rock Rangers podcast, you'd think I'd be like, yeah, anarchy, but like I love this team too much for that.
We gotta make the thumbnail.
Yeah, like anarchy in the locker room, like locker boxing and whatever else they got going on. But I think you need a captain. I think JT Miller or Vinny Trocheck would be clear-cut choices for me.
I think if you did pick, it's JT is the captain, Vinny and Fox are his assistants, and you don't have 5-6 assistants anymore.
Was ridiculous. You know what the crazy thing is? They had Trocheck as an assistant captain, and they stripped him of his assistant captaincy. So in 2002, 2000 or 22, 23, he was an assistant captain. 20 or was it 23, 24? He was 23, 24. He was an assistant captain. 24, 25, he wasn't. That's wild to me. And now, he's the one out there showing a little bit of leadership skills. Him and JT Miller, that's really all we have.
Yeah, he had a down season, but he was not a total zombie this year like a lot of the guys. All right, so anything else on Rangers off season?
No, I'm ready for the season to start again. I miss it already.
All right, so let's get to everyone's waited patiently. The hundreds of thousands of millions worldwide have waited patiently for our Stanley Cup final predictions. We're going to pick a winner and how many games.
And you're going to go first because you've been putting me on the spot.
I've been teeing you up all night.
You've been teeing me up all night, so you're going to do this one first.
All right.
Who do you got?
It's crazy because I feel like I'm still thinking it out in my head, and I can't really, one way or the other, I don't feel great about it, but my gut tells me that the Panthers do it again. I hate that for McDavid, but they're so good on the road. They're playing, Edmonton has home ice. That does not matter to Florida. And if I had to, it's weird. Like if I had to bet money, I'd bet on McDavid doing it this year. But my gut, which I have plenty of, is telling me that the Panthers win again. And in how many games? I think 6.
Who do you want? You want Edmonton? Would you like to see Edmonton do it?
Honestly, I'd be happy for either. I'm not a Cats fan, but I try not to be a hater either.
Gun to your head, you had to pick. Who would you want to win? Who you pick?
Want Edmonton just to spread the love, get Connor one. Want gun to my head, probably Edmonton.
Okay, so we're a little bit opposite on the spectrum here. My gut is telling me that Edmonton is going to squeak it in there.
Well, my gut is bigger than yours.
So I'm probably wrong. But no, I just last season, last year when they went down 3-0 in the series and then they figured it out, I don't think they forgot how to play Florida. I think they're going to take what they learned last year, kind of use it against Florida. My gut is telling me that Edmonton is going to pull through this year and win the Stanley Cup. Personally, what I would like is for Florida to win it. And the only reason why I'd like Florida to win the Stanley Cup is because if you look on the world stage, Canada has had the United States number. Like, the United States does not beat Canada on the world stage often. We got the Olympics coming up next year. Canada's probably going to beat us in that as well. If they're going to beat us on the world stage, I'd like the Stanley Cup to stay in the States. And that's the only reason I would like for Florida to win. It's been, 32, 33 years since a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. It's like they've been cursed for all this time. 93,
since
right?
93, Montreal.
1993 was the last year any Canadian team won it. I know they want it badly. I'm sure the biggest enemies of the Edmonton Oilers would love to see the Edmonton Oilers win the Cup just so that it could go back to Canada. And if they're going to beat us on the world stage, I'd like to at least have that still. So that's my only reasoning. Other than that, I really don't care. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But for them to have the Stanley Cup and all the gold medals, that's just too much for me.
Fair enough.
That's too much for me.
All right, well, that's fair. Hey, we are exact opposites on our pick. I like that. That's good for the pod.
Canadian hockey fans can be, and don't get me wrong, I know that, certain, the Rangers, the Bruins, we can have arrogant fan bases as well, but I just think Canadian hockey fans can be so arrogant sometimes, and that bothers me, so I'd like them to have to deal with a little humility for a little bit longer. Maybe one day, but I just hope it's not today.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Fair enough.
No shade on my boy Travis.
It's whoever wins. It's gonna be a good series. It really is. It could go to 7 again like last year. Yep. It could go either way. So, and both teams really handled their opponent in the conference finals. So
how about poor Travis, big time Leafs fan, lives up there. Man, you got I feel for you, man. I feel for him. So
I was doing real quick. I do deliveries for a farm I work for, and I was dropping off at one of the restaurants in Charlottesville, which is a city close to Richmond. Shout out Charlottesville. And there was a guy in an apartment. I didn't see the person actually, but I saw a big Maple Leafs flag outside on someone's balcony.
Cool.
It was so random. You wouldn't think.
Hockey guy.
Yep, hockey guy.
Built different.
Still repping his Leafies, so good for him. But that's all I have. Next episode, like I said, is going to be in 3 weeks. We'll get together right before the draft. We'll see if the Rangers have made any news by then, and hopefully by then we'll have a little bit, maybe better idea of who the Rangers are taking or who they're looking at. So we'll go over that and whatever else is going on in Rangerland.
And between now and then, I will get off my tuchus and edit the video with Heavy as the Head. I'll get all that mashed together and fixed up for you guys. Put a pretty little bow on it and
Nice.
drop it for you guys to watch if you'd like to see it on YouTube as well. But don't forget to subscribe, like, share the video. That would help a lot.
Yep. Give us a follow on Instagram. We are also on X.
X, TikTok, even though I haven't been on there in a long time because I'm not a 14-year-old girl. But
life gets in the way.
Yeah, I haven't had time to do all the things, but I'll get better about it, I promise. So do that, like everything, subscribe to everything, share everything. And with that being said, do you have anything else? Forever hold your peace.
Till next time.
All right, take care, guys.